Hello, buddy. Welcome back to the Tin Man's Quarter channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor, and today I'm reading another chapter out of Nancy Roberts' ghost book called Ghost of the Southern Mountains in Appalachia. And the chapter out of here is called The Mysterious Face on the Wall. And it takes place in Granttown, West Virginia. So without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? Nick Yelchick would have laughed if you had told him he would ever see a ghost. He was a big, strapping fellow who liked to brag a lot. And if he had too much to drink, it was better to stay away from him. After 5 years of working for the railroad in March of 1927, he lost his job and began to find that the bottle helped him forget it. He will stop at the bootleggers in the late afternoon, have a few drinks, and then head home with his own jug. Yeah, I don't know why people want to do that, think that drinking could solve all the problems. Well, it don't. Makes you more like a jerk and act like a jerk. Whenever he was drunk, he would get angry over trifles, beat his wife, and tear up the house. See, right there? I don't tolerate that. I saw a man that was drunk and they beat their wife. Their butt is going down to the ground, that's for sure. This went on for several months. In the daytime, he went out looking for work and finally was able to get one of the West Virginia mines to take him on. The first week, everything seemed to go well. The hours were long and the work took plenty of physical strength, but that didn't bother him. He had always made friends quickly, and although the other men would wink at each other when Nick started bragging, most of them liked him. And at home, things were better because he wasn't drinking. But on Friday at lunch, he asked one of his buddies to punch his time card for him after work that afternoon, for he wanted to get to his liquor supplier. His friend promised to do so. Nick sat down to eat his lunch, and as he was eating one of the sandwiches Anna had packed for him, he began to think of some of the other tunnels where the men had been working that might be easier to mine. He went down to the level below his own tunnel and inspected the walls. As he walked, other tunnels led off the main one, and he turned down one of these, then down another and another before he realized he had lost his way. Aware he was lost, he began to panic and tried desperately to get back to the main line. He had walked for several hours when the thought struck him that nobody would be looking for him because he had asked his buddy, John Van Gio, to punch his time card for him. No one would know he was still down in the mine. After he had walked until what must have been late that night, his light burned out. Now he was in total darkness, and he lost his self-control, shouting and shouting until his voice became a whisper. He knew he should wait until morning, but he couldn't stop. Finally, he was so exhausted, he was too tired to walk any further. He slumped down against the wall of the tunnel and fell fast asleep. Oh, that would be a dangerous thing to do, falling asleep in the mine tunnel, because you never know if a bunch of rocks fall right on top of you and that you can't get out of. He was awakened by a strange dream. He had dreamt that he saw his wife's face before him, and as he stared into the blackness, he saw a luminous spot gradually take shape on the wall of the tunnel. And there's a picture of the tunnel that he was exploring, and the mine car is parked right there. And his wife's face stared back at him. He put his arms across his face, convinced that he must still be dreaming. And then he heard her voice, and she was saying, "Follow me." Her face began to move along the wall of the tunnel, and he managed to get up and walk toward it. The eyes shone out at him, and the lips seemed to move again, forming the words, "Follow me, follow me." Down one tunnel and then another he went, the face staying just ahead of him. This went on for what must have been over an hour until at last he found himself on the main line once more. He looked for the face, but it had disappeared. When he arrived at the surface of the mine, the night watchman said, "What you been doing down there, Nick? Your wife was here looking for you yesterday, but I seen your card was punched, and I told her you had left." When Nick got home, the first thing he saw was his wife lying across the bed. He went over to wake her, thinking she must have been up all night. When he shook her, she didn't move, and then he realized she was dead. She must have been struck with grief that her husband was either dead or ran off on her. On the kitchen table, he found a note that said, "Nick, I thought you would stop drinking when you got this job, but now I know better." Nick Yelchin collapsed in a chair, and with his arms on the table, he began sobbing, for he knew now that it was his wife's ghost that had come to lead him out of the mine and save his life. From that day on, he was a changed man until he died in Granttown over 20 years later. The end. Man, I hate that for her. She was thinking that he went to go get some more liquor. In reality, he was stuck in the mine. That give him a wake-up call to stop drinking altogether. I'm sorry his wife took her own life because of it. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications for more book reading content like this. This has been another successful installment of the Tin Man's Quarter channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor, and that's a wrap. Have a nice day, y'all.